आऊंगी, मैं तो अपना ही सुर पाऊंगी, है जो क्रेजी क्रेजी सपने मेरे, सारे चुन के मैं खुद आऊंगी। हमारा ऐसा दुनिया की हो ही नहीं, अपनी ही दुनिया बनाऊंगी, कि जिंदगी मेरी Good morning. Very good morning to all of you. Welcome to this live revision class. Yes. And let us begin today. Heads of income. 2 minutes till I'm setting. Get your water bottle, get your material, the booster notes. So many of you have ordered for this Sarathi compiler. So just give us some time. It will take time, at least 3 working days for you to receive the material. In the meanwhile, if you have any doubts, you can refer to these videos and you can message us. Once you receive the material, then also message us. Right? 1 minute, dear students. Any doubt in yesterday's class? Yesterday we have done residential status. If you have any doubt, ask me, dear students. Good morning, all of you who have joined live. Very good morning. As I said yesterday, once again, a big thank you to all of you who are joining live. It takes a lot of commitment to be present in the live class, in your laptop, with water bottle, with notebook on and all. 110 times your mind will say, chal abhi kuch aur kar lete hain. Then we will watch the lecture later. Dipti ma'am is not going to delete the lecture immediately. But as I said, these revision lectures are not going to be here permanently. Sure. Good morning. Very good morning to all of you, dear students, each one of you. Manglam and Vipin and Chandrasekhar. Very good morning to all of you. God bless you all for having that commitment to attend the live class along with a teacher. Right? Okay. These lectures are very common for CA, CMA, all the students, and for inter and final. For final, yesterday we have done like residential status. Then if you watch CMA final playlist, there's one lecture called as non-resident. It will be clear. And heads of income are of course very important, especially like business head, MCQs everywhere. So your inter portion is going to be revised. Every nook and corner I'm going to touch along with examples. Right? Okay. And today's motivation is we know ourselves best. Right or not? The more we know ourselves, we are focused to work on ourselves best. See, we can fool everyone else. We can give all the genuine reason of missing the live class, of missing this question in exam. Ma'am, I answered question number 4B so well, but 4A I didn't knew because that time I was not well. Wedding tha, puja tha, shadi thi. Each and every excuse is genuine. You can give all the excuses to me. I will accept. Can you write any excuse in the final answer sheet? No. You can, say anything, whatever you feel like to others. Can you fool yourself? No. So let's be committed. It's a beautiful journey, professional journey. After years, when you qualify and when you start working in your job, in your practice, wherever, you will remember these classes, that how we used to sit for hours and attend these live classes. So we know ourselves best. Let us work on ourselves and act, feel, behave as if we already have it. That energetic level, if it is high, the things will go inside very fast. Chalo. Today we are starting with heads of income. In heads of income, there are 5 heads of income. Whatever income you receive, you may have 13 sources of income, but those 13 sources are taxable under any of the 5 heads of income. If there is employer and employee relationship, it's income from salary. If there is a property, owner and tenant and a property, then it is income from house property. If there is an asset, it's a capital asset, right? Capital gain. If you are doing business or you are a professional, then it is income from business and profession. And last, we call it residuary, but it's very important, income from other sources. Best part of your income tax exam, when I'm just saying income from other sources, return of income, TDS, TCS, these are the name of the chapters where not a single question is more than 2 marks. Bit questions are there. You just have to be very careful in heads of income. If your sale consideration and capital gain or your GAV in house property goes wrong, the problem goes wrong. But once you complete the heads of income, these are all bit marks, TDS, TCS, return of income, PAN, and super duper scoring. Even if something goes wrong, you lose 1 or 2 marks. So these revision classes are, first thing, to revise all the concept thoroughly. Second thing is to give you an insights of the solved examples in the Sarathi taxation compiler so that you get the presentation. And I will be now and then warning you for the pitfalls. Dear students, take care of this, because when I correct the papers, I know at what point commonly students are doing mistake. And some of you, every day one student is asking me, ma'am, are you going to take all the chapters or only some? My promise is all the chapters we are going to revise. But disclaimer is, if you have not taken the coaching, take the coaching. If you have taken the coaching but you have not done written practice, then this is just a revision class. Bar sunna hai. When you are waiting in a queue or you are traveling, you can just put your headphones and listen to this lectures so that that sinks in your mind. But for practice, you can follow Sarathi practice batch lectures uploaded in the Sarathi playlist, and there is no change in house property. So I think maybe 2 or 3 regular classes of 2.5 hours each I've taken for house property. You can watch those lectures and practice those problems. Okay, right. Any doubts are there? Chat box is all. You can, it's on. You can ask me. Today, we are not doing with the first head of income, that is income from salary. We'll do it little later. In that also, small changes are there. 2 small changes. Rent-free accommodation has changed and leave salary limit has changed. Already tax amendment lectures are there in the playlist, headwise also, and tax rates and slab rates. So watch those 2 tax amendment lectures also repeatedly. It will cover your 8 marks out of 50. Done? Chalo. Today we are doing income from house property, wherein the problem comes for 6 marks. And the beautiful part is, it's a challenge I'm saying in YouTube live class. This is not a recording, live class. I'm giving you all this challenge that the problems are repeatedly asked. 2 3 categories of problem are there. They are all covered in this material. So nothing will come beyond this. Any doubts you have in the residential status anywhere? Yeah, right. Can you all put a like, please? The more you like, the more you comment. Even after the live chat is over, if you go back and comment on yesterday's video, today's video after 1:30, the YouTube is boosting it and helping me reach to more number of the students. So thank you in advance for that. Okay? Chalo. 100% all the classes are live. So if you want to attend it live, amendment class hai, RTP, MTP, separately I'll be solving the MTP for CMA students. So if you want to attend it live, right? Okay, then subscribe to the channel so that you get notification in advance. Now, when I say income from house property, there's a charging section. And the charging section is section 22 of Income Tax Act 1961, which says that enter into income from house property if there is a owner, if there is a tenant, and there is property. property. We call it income from house property. But if I have commercial properties, godowns, depots, and I'm receiving rent, it's going to be taxable here. 1 minute is also very important for me, also for you all, also, right? So I will not say a single thing extra just for making the class very lucrative or funny. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to confuse you. So, to the point knowledge I am giving, what I'm saying right now are case laws decisions which are asked in the form of MCQs. So, what did I say? There should be owner, there should be tenant, and there should be property. Ma'am, if I have an open land in the outskirts of the Hyderabad city, I have an open land in Uppal area. And that land I have given to the Patanjali Yog Peeth, Ramdev Baba for yoga classes. And they are giving me rent. Will it be taxable under house property? No. Ma'am, I'm the owner of the plot. Tenant is yoga people. Then is it taxable under house property? No, because what you have given on rent is an open plot. There is no property. So open plot rental income, where it's going to be taxable, income from other sources. I may give my open plot for circus people या कोई भी चीज के लिए, exhibition के लिए, that rental income is taxable in income from other sources. Here you need property. Clear? Right. Then ma'am, we have swimming pool. Okay. And that swimming pool is given on rent. Okay, for some competitions. अब swimming pool में तो छत ही नहीं है. It's an open club and in that the pool is there. But that is also included as land appurtenant there too. No one said that building should definitely have that ceiling. So all these swimming pools and all, when you give it on rent, that is very well taxable under income from house property. One more thing asked repeatedly in the exam is land appurtenant to building. This is my building. I am staying here. In front of my building, there is an open plot. I have given it to a boutique, a garage wala on rent. So that in that open plot, he has put that temporary shade structure and he's running a boutique over there or a garage over there. So this land appurtenant to building, will this be taxable as rental income in house property? Answer is yes. Another beautiful example based on case studies. For example, I am staying in an apartment, third floor. I have got two parkings. Every floor, they give two parkings. And on my third floor, I am staying. So I have two car parkings, but I use only one car parking. So one car parking, can I give it on rent to my second floor neighbor? He's having extra car, एक खुद चलाते हैं, एक बेटे के पास है और एक है, जो भी reason से. So land appurtenant to building, related to my building where I'm staying, there's land, parking lot, which I have given on rent. Will it be taxable under income from house property? Yes. अच्छा, एक और. अरे, आर यू ऑल फॉलोइंग दीज ओरल एग्जाम्पल्स? कोई मटेरियल नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है. दिस ऑल कमिंग आउट ऑफ माई माइंड based on the past exams, how they ask. Okay. So many times the offices and factories, wherever they are located nearby to that only, the company has its residential towers and on a nominal rent they give employees to stay over there. Okay, let me take an example. In the outskirts of Hyderabad, there's an area called Adi Batla. There they have made a big campus of Infosys where 4,000 employees can work, and nearby to that campus only towers are built up by Infosys only, and they are giving it on nominal rent to their employees. It's not necessary to earn income, but ठीक है, income earn नहीं करना है, but then it is like what do you call it, that rental income is coming. But who's the owner of the building? Infosys. Who is maintaining the building? Infosys. This rental income received by Infosys will be taxable as business income, not rental income. Why? Why? Because their main purpose is not to earn rent, and all the expenses related to building, repairs, depreciation, maintenance, they are debiting in P&L account. So this miscellaneous income will be credited in the P&L account. ठीक है? Right. Now, As I move ahead, of course, I'll share the notes also. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैम पूरा आप ऐसे समाचार पढ़ रहे हैं, ऐसे पढ़ाएंगे तो ऐसे नहीं पढ़ाएंगे. But there are few things which should go in mind. Okay, digest one thing, dear students. This is the only head of income where we pay tax on notional income. Ma'am, what is notional income? We have not earned any income. Still, we are paying tax. You know how? There are three kinds of rental income or property which are covered under Section 22 chargeability section. First one is let out property. I have given it out on rent, my property, commercial, residential, go down depots, koi bhi. LOP, let out property. Second type of the property is self-occupied. I am the owner of the house and I am myself staying in that house. Self-occupied property. Third one is the googly. Deemed let out property. DLOP. Deemed let out property. Now, what is this? Just 2 seconds, dear students. I'll share the material and you all read it. There's an urgent call I need to attend. Please read it. Really. All right. रुकावट के लिए खेद है. चले. So now what I was saying is deemed let out property. Let out is actually given on rent. Self-occupied is where I'm staying in my own house. I'm the owner of the house I stay. Deemed let out property is, see, the rule says that you can have two self-occupied property. Now, what is self-occupied property? Can I have one house in Hyderabad, another in Lonavala? Yeah, or Goa? Yes. 2-3 months in a year, I go to my Goa house and I stay there. The rest all the time it's locked. If I'm getting rental, it's going to be taxable here, right? Okay. Now, 1 second, dear students. But if I'm not getting the rentals, okay, I'm self-occupying my Hyderabad house and I'm self-occupying my Goa house. 2-3 months in vacation, I go and stay there. Rest all the times it's locked. Can I treat that house also as self-occupied? I have a third house in Darjeeling also. I have a fourth house in Manali also. I may have 4 self-occupied houses. Isn't it a luxury? Government is saying no को एक घर नहीं है रहने को. People are not having one house to stay. You can treat any 2 houses as self-occupied of your choice. These kind of problems are asked for 7 marks. With presentation, I'll show you how to work it out. So what did I say again, dear students? That any 2 houses, Hyderabad house, Goa house, Lonavala house, and Darjeeling house, 4. So out of 4, any 2 houses, I can take it as self-occupied. Remaining 2 houses are genuinely self-occupied, but they are treated as deemed let out. And whatever is the annual rental value as per the government norms or the Standard Rent Control Act, that will be taken as GAV and taxable. Clear to all of you? So this is all about the base building. Here I'm sharing the screen and let us read it. Okay? Coming half an hour, stay connected with me to have super duper grasping on the concept. Once the concept is clear, I'll be solving problems all. If you get rental income in USA currency, if part of the house is let out, ma'am, interest treatment is crucial. Everything will be covered. Okay? Right. So annual value, what's the chargeability section, dear students? Section 30, 22, chargeability section. For salary, it's section 50. And then for business, it's section 28. Capital gain, section 45, and so on. So right now, what do you mean by chargeability section? It's like knock knock, aa jao. There should be property, land, building, or appurtenant there to, not open land. No? Building does not include not only residential building but factory, offices, shops, godowns, all. Land appurtenant like garage, outhouse, and all. Okay, right. 1 second. Next. Income from letting out of the vacant land is taxable under income from other sources. If you have this material, market for MCQs. Property should not only necessarily have roofs for swimming pool, stadium. You know, Arijit Singh's concert is there in Hyderabad, and then they take the LB Stadium on rent. So stadium is given on rent, ma'am. It's not a building. It is a building. छत नहीं है तो क्या हुआ? It is a building. Very well, it is taxable under income from house property. Yeah, right. So there are three kind of properties. What is let out property? LOP, actually given on rent. Self-occupied property. Yeah, self-occupied property, which is where you yourself stay, or sometimes it is unoccupied. Now this is also a very beautiful concept. Let me give you an example. I'll be giving you more than 20-30 example in the coming 2 hours to make this chapter super duper clear. फिर से एक बार ये वीडियो देखना, आप कोई भी क्वेश्चन कर पाओगे. And recent exam, let me tell you, they asked the question for composite rent. So all amenities and income will be taxable in other source, and rest here. I'll share that question. If I miss out, please remind me at the end. Ma'am, share past exams questions. आज से वो भी शुरू कर देंगे. Yes, in the compiler at the end, question and answer bank I have put up, wherein the past exams, MTP, RTP, all the questions headwise I have given. So now listen what I'm saying. There's a concept of unoccupied house. I am having a single house in Hyderabad, but because of my son's education, he is studying in a college in Bangalore. I am also staying in Bangalore with him in a rented house. And my Hyderabad house is locked. If I give Hyderabad house on rent, it will be let out. Am I self-occupying Hyderabad house? Self-occupied hai kya? No. Why? Because I am staying in Bangalore in a rented house. Can I say Hyderabad house is unoccupied? No one is occupied. 1 month also, if I give it on rent for wedding people and all gone, it's going to be taxable. So can we take unoccupied house also as self-occupied? Yes. How many houses? 2. In India, London, UK, जिधर लेना है ले लो. Clear to all of you, right? Okay, chalo. Let us continue now. It is the property used by owner or which is unoccupied by owner due to employment, business or profession. For such self-occupied property, annual value will be nil, provided no other benefit is derived. The benefit of nil annual value is available only up to 2 self-occupied or unoccupied house. Hyderabad, Goa, Darjeeling, Lonavala. Any 2 houses we can take as self-occupied, right? The benefit of nil value is available for 2 self-occupied property. And what is where the SSE owns more than 2 property? Then the annual value of the 2 house shall be taken as nil. All the other will be treated as neem let out and thus notionally taxable. Is this knowledge clear to all of you? Any doubt until now? Now, how to compute income? If I say prepare the balance sheet, immediately liabilities amount, asset amount, right or not? If I say draw trading P&L, above the line, below the line, tap karte hain, single entry, any topic. If I say compute income from house property, in income tax, you need to follow a format. That format we are studying in the coming 15 minutes. Clear? Don't take this chapter as lightly, and I may complete today the revision before the time, because house property, there's no change. You all know it. But still, if you are not getting 7 out of 7 marks, stay connected till the end. You will get to know a lot of small loopholes. कि कहाँ गड़बड़ हो रही है. Right? Now, before I start explaining you the format, let us clear some of the terms. Okay? Gross annual value. Gross annual value is nothing but rent of 12 months. Okay? For that, first we will see what is the fair rent. Fair rent is the rent of similar property in similar area. Concept classes is on third floor, 1800 square feet. Then 1800 square feet in my area, maybe next building, third floor or first floor. What's the rental? So around me, similar kind of the building, similar area, similar, square feet and all. What is the rent? That's called as fair rent. Municipal value is the rental value derived from the corporation office. Corporation office says, oh, you are staying near OU, this is your rental income. Oh, you are staying in Jubilee Hills, Jubilee Hills mein per square feet, this is the rent. Like that. So municipal value means the rental income as per municipality board. Standard rent is the idle rent as per the Rent Control Act. Okay? Right. See, even if you have, yeah, some, thank you for being so honest and saying, ma'am, we have done this chapter, but still your journey is not from, if you've got 35 marks, your journey is not from 35 to 100, it's 0 to 100. So coming 1.5 hour, मेरे साथ पूरा revision करके खत्म कर लो इसको, even if you know it super well. 2 minutes, and yes. Okay. Standard rent is the rental value according to the Rent Control Act. Actual rent is the rent derived. Followed all of you the terms. Fair rent is the rental value, similar kind of the property. Municipal value is the value determined as per the corporation. Standard rent is the rental value according to the Rent Control Act. And actual rent, we all know this, right? Now, first thing is to derive gross annual value. How do you go by? GAV, fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. Step B, or actual rent, whichever is higher. You know ocean waves, high, low, high, tides, like that in your mind, say it clearly. Learn and go in this 1.5 hour everything about house property. House property दीप्ति मैम के साथ हो गया, वापस करने की जरूरत नहीं है, right? Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. That or actual rent, whichever is higher. ठीक है? Clear है आप सबको? So this is how you derive the GAV. Now, if the property is self-occupied throughout the year, the GAV is nil. You can't pay rent to yourself. I'm the owner of the property and I'm self-occupying the property. What will be the rental value? Nil. If the property is self-occupied partly, 3 months the property is self-occupied, April, May, June. July onwards, I have let it out. Then that let out property, yeah, then follow the above steps for the whole year. Ma'am, but actual rent is only for 9 months. So shall we take the fair rent, municipal value and all also for 9 months? Answer is no. Fair rent and municipal value, whichever is higher. That and standard rent, whichever is lower. That or actual rent, whichever is higher. So if partly it is self-occupied and partly it is let out, just follow the steps. Now, if the property is vacant for some period and let out. Now, if the actual rent is low only due to vacancy, this is a super point to remember while solving the questions. Yes, right? So when solving the problem, I'll again say fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, that or standard rent, whichever is lower, that or actual rent, whichever is higher. So sometimes actual rent is low, step B is high. Because why actual rent is low? Because property was let out only for 8 months. 4 months it was vacant. So if actual rent is low only due to vacancy, then actual rent will be taken as GAV even though it is low. Ma'am, just now you said high, low, high. Step B or actual rent, whichever is high. But if actual rent is low only due to vacancy, then actual rent will be taken as GAV. If the property is let out or deemed let out throughout the year, then follow the above steps. If the property is held for 11 months, sometimes the construction of the property is completed on 30th of April. So then fair rent, municipal value, standard rent, you can't take for 12 months because property was not ready only. It was ready by 30th of April. So can I take everything for 11 months? Some of you may be thinking कि ये last 4-5 line मैंने जो बोले, ma'am, not very clear. So let me tell you, these are the points you apply while solving the questions and it will be very clear. ठीक है? So what is the first step in solving the house property problem? Gross annual value. Less municipal taxes. When we own the property, do we need to pay municipal taxes? Yes, that you can deduct it. But a beautiful promise is municipal taxes are deductible on payment basis. My financial year is 21 second, dear students. Yeah, 23-24 is my financial year. And for this year, I have paid municipal tax on 10th April 24. Will it be allowed? Answer is no. It will not be allowed. Municipal taxes, ma'am, it is due in 23-24. I paid it late on 10th of April 24. Then it will be allowed in which year? Next year, that is 24-25. Followed all of you? Yes. Good, good, good. Keep taking part in all this. So municipal taxes are allowed on payment basis. Ma'am, in 23-24, I paid arrears for 19-20. 19-20 some arrears I had to pay, and municipal tax also includes sewerage tax. कभी कभी एग्जाम में अलग से they give you I am opening up my full basket of knowledge. These 2 decades, the way I teach is ये इसमें है तो ऐसे करना इसमें. So out of that, when you get an exam, you're crystal clear. Municipal taxes include sewerage tax, and 19-20 tax I have paid now. Will it be allowed or not? I want you to answer in the chat box. 19-20 ka you are paying now. Will it be allowed or not? Arrears of municipal tax and sewerage tax of 19-20. I'm paying now. Will I get a deduction for that? Answer is yes. Yes, you will. Municipal tax is allowed on payment basis, not due basis. Okay. Ma'am, but my municipal tax is 10,000 and only 50% I have paid as an owner. 50% is paid by tenant. Then how much you will get a deduction? Whatever is paid by owner. Only 50% deduction you will get what is paid by the owner. देखो चेक करते हैं यहाँ पे. See, GAVA के लिए all notes I have given in one. These are my own made booster notes and they're going to make it like super duper clear. Right. So, municipal taxes are allowed only if actually paid. Underline this word. Only if actually paid by the owner. If municipal taxes are paid in advance, it is deductible due. You know, sometimes offer is there. If you pay for 3 years, you will get 25% discount. So it's not all what you have paid for future years will be deductible. But when you pay actually for this year or earlier years, it's deductible now. If paid by tenant, no deduction will be allowed. If tenant is paying municipal taxes, he will deduct it. It includes sewerage tax. Irrespective of GAV, if municipal tax are calculated as a percentage of municipal value, take accordingly. Super. Just now I said, how do you derive your GAV, fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, that or standard rent lower. So sometimes GAV may not be the municipal value. कुछ भी हो सकता है, fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, and so on. So it may not be municipal value, but if they gave municipal taxes 8%, always take 8% of the municipal value. Are you clear? Huh? So these are all the pointers you need to remember. So from the GAV, when you deduct municipal taxes, what do you get? NAV, net annual value. In that, 30% standard deduction is allowed. Now, why this 30% standard deduction? Listen, all of you, dear students, you are the owner of the property. You are getting rental income for all the 5-6 apartments in this property. So you have a watchman, you have a liftman, there are some repairing works, you have taken insurance for this building. So many kind of expenses will be there. So government is saying we don't want to see the proof. What is your actual expense related to property? Whatever is NAV, 30% of that you take as deduction, standard deduction. Na kam na zada. Ma'am, but my expenses only 20% of NAV, or my expenses 45% of NAV. Actually, no problem. Insurance, repairs, watchman, liftman, water pump, ye, wo, all expenditure के लिए standard deduction is given 30% of NAV. And one more deduction you get, that is called as interest on loan. Along with pre-construction, you get income from house property. Easy? So what's the format now? Looking at the screen, I mean, say without looking at the screen, can we all revise? So that when I go to problems, it will be like super clear. Gross annual value. Less municipal taxes if paid by owner. Net annual value. Less 30% standard deduction of net annual value and ignore actual expenses for depreciation, for repairs, for watchman's salary and all. And deduct interest on loan. Interest on loan, how much you will deduct, what it will be, I'll let you know. Okay? Right. So is this clear, this format? And what you get income from house property. Now, if you have 2-3 house property, in house 1 there is a loss, house 2 there is a profit, house 3 there is a profit. Can you combine all the profit and loss? Yes, it's allowed. Okay. Now, in case of self-occupied property, how many properties you can take as self-occupied? 2. So 2 self-occupied properties is maximum. Agar 1 hai to aap 1 hi lenge. GAV is nil. You can't pay rent to yourself. You're the owner of the property and you're staying there. Municipal taxes are not allowed to be deducted in self-occupied property. But ma'am, I have paid municipal taxes of my house also. It's like your drawings. It's not allowed as expense. NAV. NAV ka 30%? Zero, because NAV is zero. Interest on loan is allowed. So look at the screen and tell me, are you digesting and writing this as a punchline that self-occupied property will always show loss? Self-occupied property will always show loss. Because what is GAV? Nil. Municipal taxes you are paying of your house, but they are like your drawings, not allowed. NAV, less standard deduction, वो भी nil. Nil का 30% तो nil होगा ना. And interest on loan is allowed up to 2 lakh. Reconstruction मिला के you're getting the taxable amount. Yes, all clear until now? Yeah. Is the format clear? Then straight, yeah, standard deduction is allowed irrespective of actual expenditure. How much? 30% of NAV. Now we are checking interest on loan chapter. Just check your watches. I know I always give a break at 12:30. Till then, all the concepts will be over and we'll be working out some problems. But I need to take a break of 2-3 minutes. I have to attach these wires of charging. You can also take and assemble back. 3 minutes. Okay. All right. Are you all also back? Okay. Let us continue now. So now we know what is self-occupied property. What's the format of self-occupied property? GAV is nil. You're not going to pay rent to yourself. Municipal taxes, though you pay for house, not allowed. Nil. NAV nil. 30% standard deduction of NAV nil ka 30% is nil. Interest on loan is allowed. And how about the let out and deemed let out property? What will be the GAV? Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. Step 2 or actual rent, whichever is higher. But if actual rent is low in step 3 because of vacancy, then even though actual rent is low, that will be the GAV, right? Less municipal taxes are allowed only if you pay it. If 50% is paid by tenant, then only 50% will be allowed. NAV. NAV is 30% is standard deduction allowed for all expense. Then separately water bills, light bills, lift man, salary, ye wo is not allowed. And interest on loan. Can we say in the whole head of income from house property, 3 expenditures are allowed? Municipal tax on payment basis, standard deduction on NAV, and interest on loan. So now the last concept I'm going, until now all clear? All clear? AC? Right. Now, when I say interest on loan is allowed, it is allowed on due basis. Suppose I have taken a housing loan, interest is due for 23-24, but it is not yet paid. Still, will it be allowed on due basis? Answer is yes. So, interest on loan is allowed on due basis and on actual basis in case of let out and deemed let out. I have taken 80 lakhs housing loan. My interest is 8 lakhs. Full interest will be allowed in case of let out and deemed let out. But in case of self-occupied, because you've seen sub nil 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 hai, interest on loan is allowed maximum 30,000 or 2 lakh. When 30,000, when 2 lakh, coming 5 minutes, it will be clear. Take a pause, digest and tell me for exam, are you clear that income from house property, self-occupied property will always show a loss? It will always show a loss because income to kuch hai nahi, GAV nil, NAV nil, standard deduction nil, and interest on loan is allowed. So self-occupied will always show loss. Let out and deemed let out may have income. So we have loss in house 1. We have income in house 2 and house 3. Can we set off this? Answer is yes. It is allowed. Easy? Let's see the format now. And coming 5-10 minutes, pay attention. This is the only part in house property where students are confused. And this is super duper important for problem solving and for MCQs also. Interest on loan is allowed on due basis. Okay? Right. In case of let out and deemed let out, full interest is allowed without any upper limit. But in case of self-occupied, okay, if you have taken a housing loan after 1499 for purchase or construction and the construction is completed in 5 years, then interest is allowed maximum up to 2 lakh, not per house. Self-occupied property kitne allowed hai, dear students? 2. 2 self-occupied for an SSE put together the limit is 2 lakh. Ma'am, where it is written? It's not written. But few things, of course, in my material compiler mein to aapko pure notes milenge. But this is actually written in your worked out while solving the problem. Once again, have you taken a housing loan? Yes. After 1499, yes. For purchase and construction, yes. Is the construction completed in 5 years? Yes. Then how much loan interest is allowed? 2 lakh. You know, when I say EMI, you'll know the full form of EMI. equated monthly installments and how they are made equal, that we study in FM. So this includes interest. Every installment, every EMI has interest and principal. So interest is deductible in house property, and principal repayment you get a deduction under 80C. वो हम पढ़ेंगे आगे, ठीक है? Right. Now, either if the loan is taken prior to 1499 or loan is taken in 2023-24 now, but for repairs or renovation, not for purchase and construction, then how much interest is allowed? Maximum 30,000. So the gist is, today also, if you take loan for purchase and construction, 2 lakh. If you take for repairs and renovation, maximum interest allowed is 30,000. But ma'am, we have paid 66,000. Remaining interest will lapse. ठीक है? Right. Actual amount of interest due for the year is allowed in case of let out and deemed let out. Conditions for interest on housing loan up to 2 lakh is loan should be taken after acquisition. Yeah. Loan should be taken after 1499 for acquisition or construction. या तो खुद बनाओ या खरीद लो. Clear? And acquisition or construction should be completed within 5 years. Yeah. And the person from whom you have taken the loan, they will give a certificate. Throughout the year, you have paid 12 EMIs, and in total, you have paid this much principal, this much interest, and so on. Interest on housing loan is allowed 30,000 if any of the conditions are not satisfied. Either you have taken loan 1499, or construction is not over in 5 years, or loan is not taken for construction, it is taken for repairs and all. Then in that case, interest will be allowed 30,000. 30,000 or 2 lakh limit, I am repeating, is only for self-occupied. For let out and deemed let out, full interest is allowed. Okay? Right. Now, few crucial points which are covered in exam also. ये देखो. Interest on loan payable outside India is allowed if TDS is deducted. I may take loan from a bank in America. Then interest, what I have paid on housing loan in America is allowed, provided it is the income, no, which is derived from India. So I should deduct TDS. समझ में आ रहा है? I am paying interest 1 lakh to America and 10,000 is TDS. If I miss deducting TDS and pay the whole interest, it will not be allowed. Second, I'm saying not second here, running fifth point, but these are all self-made pointers. And agar kisi ko 2 minutes also, if you are getting a feeling, ma'am, last 45 minutes you have been teaching theory. This is not theory. These are the points which will be given to you while solving house property question for 6 months. So the next one is interest on loan. Second loan taken to repay the first loan is allowed. I took interest, I took loan from SBI housing loan at the rate of 13%. Okay? Right. Now, Bank of Baroda is giving me housing loan at the rate of 10%. Same against the property mortgage, baki pura same hai. So what I did was, I took second loan from Bank of Baroda and I repaid SBI loan. Because SBI loan, I am paying 13% interest. Bank of Baroda is giving 10%. I'll save 3% interest. So I took second loan from Bank of Baroda and repaid the first loan of SBI. Is my example clear? Now, is Bank of Baroda stepping in the shoes of housing loan? Yes. The loan which was from SBI is now from Bank of Baroda. So, is the interest on this second loan taken allowed? Answer is yes, it is allowed. Okay? Right. Now, next. Interest paid on money borrowed to repay EMI is not allowed. Every month I have to pay 1 lakh EMI. Every month. 1 lakh में principal भी है, interest भी है. Now to pay this installment, I have taken a second loan on which interest is 10,000. This 10,000 interest is not on housing loan. It is interest on interest. To pay 1 lakh interest on housing loan, I have borrowed 1 lakh from a bank and paying 10,000 interest. So in short, interest on interest is not allowed. Am I going too slow? Are you all feeling too slow or clear? Huh? Interest paid on the money borrowed to repay the loan, EMI, is not allowed. समझ में आ रहा है? You pay interest on housing loan, it's allowed. You pay interest on installment, that's called as interest on interest, not allowed. Take your time to digest this point. Not clear, then please type, ma'am, explain problem point number 6 again. I'll do. You know, so many times when we take loan, we have to pay the brokerage and processing fees and all. Not allowed. They'll come and do the inspection of your property. They will call a certified valuer. वो सब fees आपको pay करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है? Right. So is that allowed? No. Interest on loan upper limit for each co-owner is 2 lakh. In case of self-occupied, how much interest is allowed? 2 lakh. But say we are the co-owners of the house. I and Anjana, we have purchased the house together. So, and it is self-occupied. One floor I am staying, one floor he is staying. Now what? Yes, self-occupied property, interest allowed maximum is 2 lakhs per SSE. So if you are the joint owners of co-owners of the property, every SSE will be allowed 2 lakh interest. ठीक है? In case of default tax regime, interest on self-occupied property not allowed, deemed let out and let out allowed. You know what is default tax regime? 115 BAC. From this year, they say you can file your return in the default tax regime 115 BAC, but you can't show a loss in self-occupied property. Yeah, but can you show a loss in DLOP and LOP? Answer is yes. In case of the old tax regime, old means normal tax regime. Yes, interest on self-occupied and all is allowed. Clear to all of you? Chalo. I'm just giving you the gist, and then when I solve the problem, it will be clear. Interest is allowed on due basis. Let out property and dim let out, whatever is the actual interest is allowed on due basis, even if you have not paid. But in self-occupied, maximum interest is allowed only 2 lakh. If you have taken loan after 1499, construction is completed in 5 years, and you have taken loan for purchase and construction. Today also, if you take loan after 1499, but for repairs and renovation, then interest on loan allowed is 30,000. Second loan taken to repay the first loan, second loan interest is allowed because first loan from SBI, bye-bye. Now Bank of Baroda is taking space of housing loan, allowed. But to pay the EMI, if you take more loan, EMI में जो interest है ना, that is allowed. But to pay the EMI, if you take one more interest on interest, it's not allowed. If you take loan for self-occupied property for purchase, construction, interest is 2 lakh. But if you take loan for repairs and renovation, it is how much? 30,000. I want some buzzing in the chat box. And do comment after the video is uploaded, closed at 1:30. That will give it a boost. Here we complete this crucial part where students are confused. I am repeating, if you are co-owners, ma'am, मुझे 1 lakh interest मिलेगा, उसको 1 lakh नहीं, ऐसे नहीं होता. Every co-owner is allowed interest up to 2 lakhs. 30,000, when is it allowed? Is it clear to all of you? Yeah, all clear. 30,000 interest कब allowed होगा? When you have taken the loan for repairs and renovation. Chalo. Next is a beautiful concept. Last 23 May exam, they have asked question on this. Can I explain this orally? Composite rent? Yes or no? Dhyan se suno. You know what is composite rent? So many times nowadays, the new towers which are being built up, you are getting the rental income along with all the other amenities, right? Clubhouse, swimming pool, a lot of facilities are there. So I'm getting rental from you, dear students, 4 lakh per month. 3 lakh is the rent, 1 lakh you are paying me for the amenities. So this is a composite rent. So whatever is the rent, can we split it? Yes. In 4 lakh rent, 3 lakh is for the house property rent. It will be taxable under house property. 1 lakh is rent for all the amenities and sofa and cupboard and dining table and electronics and all. That will be taxable under income from other sources. Is this clear to all of you? Ma'am, but if we are not able to split, then so many times we are not able to split. Keep in 4 lakh, how much is the rent of the property and how much is the rent of the electronics and sofa and dining table and all? Then splitting the rent. If it is not possible, everything is going to be taxable in income from other sources. In exam, they ask that rental received is 40 lakhs. 30 lakhs is property rent. 10 lakhs is amenities. So 10 lakh कहाँ tax होगा? Income from other sources. ठीक है? चलो देखो ये this is written and printed in the compiler. Yeah. If you want, you can order this compiler, download Concept Classes app, and there you can order. Composite rent means the rent of the property along with the rent of other services like furniture and all. So house will be taxable under property, other services in other source, or maybe business income. If you cannot split, everything will be taxable as other source or business income. ठीक है? Income from subletting is taxable under income from other sources. Say we are running a hospital. We have taken the hospital building on rent. So whatever rent is earned by owner from the hospital, that will be income from house property. Who am I? I'm running a hospital and I'm the tenant. So whatever rent I'm paying for the hospital, that is taxable for the owner. Okay? As rental income. But in the hospital, one counter I have given outrightly on rent to a medicine wala. Another room I have given to a canteen wala. Another room I have given to a florist and gift and card he's having. Now, what is this? These three people are paying rent to me. But am I the owner? No. I've taken 2-floor whole hospital on rent. Are my examples crystal clear or not? I've taken all the hospital on rent. I'm the tenant. Whatever rent I'm paying for hospital to the owner, that will be taxable under house property for owner. But then this, I have done subletting. You know what's the meaning of subletting? Letting and then subletting. I'm not the owner. So rental income derived by me as tenant, this will come in income from other sources. Problem भी करेंगे इसके लिए, income from other sources. ठीक है? Right. Next concept is very similar. You can write here like bad debts in business side. You all know what is bad debt? I've sold the goods to someone, he did not pay me, jo karna hai kar lo, and I lost my money. So same way, unrealized rent is rent which is due but not recoverable. The person has to pay me 3 months rent, he paid 1 month and 2 months he is not paying. Is this vacancy allowance? No, it's not vacant, it's occupied. He's not paying the rent. So, rent which is due but not recoverable is called as unrealized rent. It is actually excluded from the actual rent in GAV if the following conditions are satisfied. You remember what is GAV? Fair rent, municipal value, whichever is higher, that, or standard rent, whatever is lower, that, or actual rent, hai na? So there we have taken the rental for 12 months. But last 2 months, say Somnath is a person who is staying in my house and he's not paying rent. He's not even vacated, right? So in that case, unrealized rent is deducted from the GAV if tenancy is bona fide, means there's an agreement, owner-tenant. Defaulting tenant has vacated or steps have been taken to compel him to vacate. If he's not paying rent, say him bye-bye, jao tum. Defaulting tenant is not in occupation of any other property. Koi aur property bhi he is not occupying. If he's not paying rent here, what's the guarantee he'll pay rent somewhere else also? And SSC has taken all the reasonable steps to institute legal proceedings for the recovery of the rent. So if just read it, conditions and how to solve the problem, I'll make it clear. Unrealized rent is the rent which is due for February and March. And my tenant is saying, Jo karna hai kar lo, I will not give the rent. Now here comes a beautiful concept. Say my student Shekhar. He occupied my property till March, but February and March he didn't pay me the rent. 10,000, 10,000. Okay. Now, he vacated then and went somewhere. Last 3 years, I'm not in touch with Shekhar. Shekhar, I'll be in touch with you till exams. You can ask me any doubts you have, but just saying. So, last 2 months, he did not pay the rent. Can I deduct 2 months' rent from the actual rent? That is the GAV? Yes. I'm repeating, this is not vacancy. Huh? He occupied till March, but he didn't pay the rent of February and March. After 3 years, I went to a party and there I met Shekhar. After 2, 3 years, he said, "Ma'am, please take this 20,000." I said, "What? I have already sold that property. Forget it. Jo hua wo hua, jaane do." In the meanwhile, I had already sold that property. I'm not the owner of that property. Shekhar is saying, "No, ma'am, this karmic account will go on." Yes, and please take this rent. That time I was not doing well financially, so I could not pay you the rent of 2 months. Now I owe you that, and so please take it. I said, okay. When I received the rent, I'm not the owner of the property. This is which rent received? Arrears of rent or unrealized rent received now. तब नहीं मिला, अब मिल गया. So unrealized rent, whenever it is received, it will be taxable separately in house property. Ma'am, but you are not even the owner of the house. 2 साल पहले ही आपने तो property बेच दी. Property is only not there. Still, whenever unrealized rent is received, it will be taxable as income from house property. And how much deduction will be given? 30% standard deduction. Ma'am, but had it been taxable that time, we would have taken the net annual value, we would have taken the interest and all. No. Unrealized rent, whenever it is received back, it is taxable with only one deduction, that is 30% standard deduction. और कुछ deduct नहीं होगा. Clear to all of you? Yeah. Same way, arrears of rent. What do you mean by arrears of rent? Arrears of rent is, I'm saying to Shekhar, 2018 से मैं बोल रही हूँ I will increase the rent, I will increase the rent पे. मैम इस साल नहीं, अगले बार, कोविड के बाद. I said no, now it's an ultimatum. We are at the end of the March 23. You pay me the extra rent, otherwise you go, I'll give it on rent to someone else. I cannot bear this loss. Now Shekhar realized कि अब तो, it's like do or die situation. Dipti ma'am will ask me to vacate the property. And he said, okay. Until now I was paying 20,000 rent. I will pay now 22,000. I said, no, 22,000 now you pay. But last 3 years, I have been asking you to increase the rent from 20 to 22. Increase in the rent with retrospective effect 2,000 per month for last 3 years. You have to pay me arrears of the rent. And he agreed. This arrears of rent will always be taxable as income from house property, subject to 30% standard deduction. So both the cases are clear to all of you, right? So gist क्या है इसका एग्जाम के लिए? Unrealized rent, arrears of rent. Whenever it is taxable, it will be taxable separately. Students, they merge it with the GAV. फिर उसमें सब दे देते हैं, म्यूनिसिपल टैक्स, स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन, इंटरेस्ट अमाउंट, ऐसे नहीं. Arrears of rent or unrealized rent, whenever you receive, it will be taxable separately with 30% standard deduction and as income from house property. Clear? This is the concept. You can just take 2 minutes time and read on your own. I'm here only. 7th point. Read on your own the 7th point, please. What is the alert sign I am giving not to go wrong in exam, dear students? Unrealized rent, arrears of rent, whenever it is received, tax it separately. Yes? And 30% standard deduction. That's it. Okay? Unrealized rent when received after few years, it will be taxable as income from house property. It will be taxable even if SSC is not the owner. 30% standard deduction allowed. Arrears of rent, it will be taxable when it is received, even if he is not the owner. And it will be taxed separately, not added to the GM. Clear? Acha, this is important. Whenever unrealized rent is like occurring, ki okay, you stayed Shekhar in my house till March, but you didn't pay the rent of April and March and February, 2 months. Then in that case, it will be deducted from the actual rent receivable. Okay? Right. Now, next. If the portion of the business premises is let out to employees reasonable, I told you it will be taxable as business income. Open land, other source में tax होगा. Advance rent received is not taxable. Okay? Advance rent. Whenever you receive the rent in advance, it is not taxable. Next, if the title of the property is disputed and the decision about ownership lies in department, generally the person who receives the income who enjoys the possession, he will have to pay the tax. Superb. Santa and Banta are brothers. They are fighting for an ancestral property. Santa is saying, I am the owner. Banta is saying, I am the owner. Ladte raho. Property case goes on for 8 years, 10 years. Keep on fighting. Department is saying they are not bothered. Right now, are you getting rental income from house? Yes. Who is keeping the rental income? Santa. And he is doing all the maintenance and all. It will be taxable in whose hand? Santa's hand. अभी तक decide नहीं हुआ who is the owner. But you all are getting rental income, no? Santa Banda. And you are enjoying the rental income, no? Calculate and pay the tax. Simple. Clear, all the points are easy. थोड़े से in depth है पण अच्छे है point. Rental income derived by a person dealing with real estate, taxable under house property. Superb. You all know what is real estate business? Buying and selling of flats, apartment, houses. मेरा तो काम ही है घर लेना, घर बेचना, घर लेना, घर बेचना. Right? But because of the COVID, I knew that I'm not going to sell the house in the coming 6 months. I decided to rent it. This rental income will be taxable under house property, not under business income. If letting is incidental to the business, then it might be taxable under business head. Okay, right. Annual charge. This is also asked many times in the exam. For every point, I'm giving you examples so that it is clear. You know, by will, my grandfather, my Dadaji says, after my death, this house belongs to Dipti, subject to condition that every month I should pay 5,000 rupees to my father. Followed? So, as per will of my grandfather, the house and the rental income is transferred to granddaughter Dipti, subject to condition that whatever rental income I receive out of that, 5,000 I should pay. To whom? Yeah, to my father. Now, this is called as annual charge as per will. Now, whenever I receive rental income, can I deduct annual charge? No. I want to repeat only three things are deductible under house property. One is municipal tax, another is 30% standard deduction, and third is interest on loan. Clear to all of you? Right? तो ये तो deduct नहीं होगा. You have to write a note in exam, annual charge paid by the owner. Annual charge मिल किसको रहा है? My grandfather is the owner of the house. After he deceased, I got the house. I am the owner. I am getting rental income. Yeah, but out of that part, 5,000 I am paying to my father. Can I claim a deduction for it? No. This is not an expense. Clear to all of you? So here we complete all the points. One or two small more points are there and some theories there. But straight we will go to the problems first and then come back and do. Yes, definitely we'll complete in another 15-20 minutes. If you have any doubt in interest on loan, any pointers, ask me. Type and send me live in YouTube. We can clarify your doubts. Check this. Okay? Yeah, right. Today we are taking one more extra break of 2 to 3 minutes, very quick break. Come and assemble and check this example on screen. This is a 5 marks question from the past exam. So please check it and I will share now how to solve the problems. Then I'll go back and cover up something. Oh, sorry. I'll keep the screen on so that you all can check. Hope you all are keeping your laptops and mobiles all charged up. Yes. Any doubt are you having? Then ask me. 1 second. Huh? Yeah. Clear to all of you? This example, did you check, all of you, dear students? If there is arrears of rent, huh? I told to Shekhar, I want increase in rent 2000 rupees of the last 2 years also now. Like we will have arrears of salary or unrealized rent. Whenever it is received, tax it separately. Don't merge with other GAV and allow 30% standard deduction. That's it. That's what this example is also. Unrealized rent is 10,000, arrears of rent, and standard deduction. What is standard deduction? 30% of the NAV. All clear to all of you? Chalo, let us take practical part. These are beautiful examples on how to derive the GAV. Because if the GAV goes wrong, all the question goes wrong. So can we take some simple example? Right. Chalo, let us take up the D1. D1, Yera. Krishna owned a flat, municipal value is 120, and he's living with family. By the end of July 23, he completed construction of the bungalow, and 1st August, he shifted to new house. So August onwards, the flat was let out on rent. Okay? So April, May, June, and July, 4 months, the flat was self-occupied. 8 months it was let out for 8,000, 64,000. Okay. Now we say fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. Ma'am, यहाँ तो fair rent है नहीं है, तो municipal value. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. So standard rent is not there, so 120. 120 or actual rent 64,000, whichever is higher. High, low, high. So 120 is higher. Take 120 as your GAV. Clear to all of you or not? Huh? Are the steps clear now? Way I'm working out. I'm going to show you the problems wherein there is partition. And one more concept is pending, that is pre-construction interest. वो भी अभी हम करेंगे. ठीक है? Right. So what will be the GAV? 1,20,000. Actual rent is low, not due to vacancy, but till July it was self-occupied. और बाद में let out किया तो actual rent तो low है. तो GAV take as 120 and then municipal tax and standard deduction and so on. ठीक है? Like this you have to check up for the problems for yourself. Okay. If there is a vacancy, consider that. See, only for determination of GAV, 1 to 3 problems, because if the GAV goes wrong, the whole concept goes wrong. ठीक है ना? चलो, now I'm taking the B example. Municipal value. Municipal value कितना है? 2,50,000. Fair rent कितना है? 2 lakh. Standard rent कितना है? 210. Tenant vacated on January. Yeah. And unrealized rent is 20,000. Municipal tax is 8% of municipal value. Interest on loan is given. Actual rent received is 10,000 per month. But tenant vacated in January. So it will be 10,000 into 10. So actual rent is this. Followed or not? Huh? 1 lakh समझ में आया आपको? Actual rent receivable is 1,20,000. But from actual rent, you have to minus the unrealized rent. 20,000. Oh, sorry. ये तो 10,000 into 10, no? Sorry, this was vacated in January. So 2 months is because of the vacancy. 1 minute. Huh? Now, let us see. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. 250. 250 or 210, standard 10, whichever is lower. 210. 210 or actual rent. What is actual rent? 1 lakh, because 20,000 to vacant 2 months. So 210 or 1 lakh, whichever is higher. So what is GAV? 210. Out of the GAV, 20,000 is not realized. So deducted. The point where students go wrong is when it is unrealized, deduct it. When it is realized, tax it separately with 30% standard deduction. ये देखो clear है? Unrealized rent, you have to deduct it from the GAV because this is not 2 months, so it was vacant. 10,000 into 2, वो तो छोड़ दिया, 1 lakh. But in 1 lakh also 20,000 is not recovered. So whatever you take as GAV from that unrealized rent is to be reduced. And after 2 years, when it is recovered, tax it separately under income from house property, 30% standard deduction. I want some buzzing in the chat box. All clear until now? Ma'am, understood? ये तो basic problems है, just how to derive the GAV. Now let us go with some combination problems. Okay? Combination problems are like superb. Any one you can take, 4, 5, 6, all are combination problems. You know what are combination problems? All the houses are self-occupied. Ma'am, if this comes in exam, how we are supposed to work? Vasant is the owner of 3 property, Bangalore, Pune, Nagpur. All the houses are self-occupied. How many houses you are allowed to take self-occupied? Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you, that it's all clear until now. Okay. Now just enjoy the varieties of problem I'm taking. And if you feel, ma'am, this problem is really good, we want to practice in writing, watch the August-September Sarathi practice batch. House property problems are solved and there is no change in house property. But do help me, please, by sharing these videos in whatever group you are, WhatsApp, Telegram group. Help me to reach this conceptual knowledge. These 2 hours, what you are going to spare with me, promise you will not feel कि anything is not left. I mean, से कुछ भी छूटेगा नहीं house property में. Everything is going to be covered up. Yes, a part of theory is still pending. I'll do it at the end. Now see, Bangalore, Pune, Nagpur. Yes, very correctly said by 2 house. Out of this, any 2 houses I can take as self-occupied by my choice every year. You know, this reminds me interlinking of topic. Minor's income is clubbed in the hands of mother or father who is having highest income in the first year. After that, in the same file, it will be added. Once my income is clubbed in the hands of my father, every year father, father, father. पढ़ा है ऐसा क्लबिंग में? यहाँ क्या है? 3 houses are there. Nagpur, Pune, Bangalore. Any 2 of it you can take as self-occupied and 1 will be treated as deemed let out. On notional income, you will pay tax. Next year, ma'am, can I change the option? Yes. So these combination questions are asked. I've given 3 combination questions. If you check 4th one, 5th one, and 6th one. 6th one is, I guess, most asked. तो चलो थोड़ा technical है, जो भी 6th वाला करते हैं. Okay. Rui is having 3 houses in Surat, all self-occupied. Okay. And that's why, can you see? Municipal value, fair rent, standard rent, sab diya hai. But it is self-occupied. So what is missing? Ma'am, actual rent is only not there. So actual rent वैसे ही नहीं होगा. Now, can I take all the 3 as DLOP? This is my working note 1. I have written option 1. You can write working note. तीनों को deemed let out ले लो. Okay. Now, this is the best way to save. I'm telling you, dear students, trust me when I'm telling you, I have seen students solving this problem into 2.5 full pages. पहले ये combination, फिर वो combination, फिर वो. How many times you will write that format? GAV minus municipal tax, NAV less standard deduction, less interest on loan. It's easy, but कितने बार लिखोगे? And for 2.5 pages, you will get 6 marks. But is it worth sparing 20-30 minutes? No. So now smart work. What format you're going to follow? First, you treat all the houses as deemed let out property. ठीक है? Right. So, first one. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, 3 lakh or 375, 375. That or standard rent, whichever is lower, 350. That or actual rent is NAV not there. So GAV is 350. Municipal taxes is 12%, not of GAV. Municipal tax will be 12% always of municipal value. But ma'am, municipal value to GAV hai hi nahi. Fir bhi. Then also. Some of the students, I don't know, network issue or not, they had joined, but now they are not there. So please pass on this message. This is Deepti man's way of teaching. I think more than 1.5 hours I was teaching you the concept. Now I have gone into problems. हाँ, तो ये ऐसे ही पढ़ना है. I could have literally, taken it very fast कि बस problem करा दो, but नहीं, concept पढ़ना है. Those composite rent and all are asked. So what is municipal taxes? 12% of municipal value, 36,000. NAV ka 30% is standard deduction. And what is interest on loan? Nil. So this is the income. If you take this as DLOP. Now second one. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. So 360. That or 370 standard rent, whichever is lower. So 360. That or actual rent. Actual rent to hai nahi. So 360. 8% is the municipal tax paid, allowed on payment basis, 8% of the municipal value. And NAV ka 30% standard deduction. Now, interest on loan is 55,000. Yeah, 55,000 is allowed. Even if it is taken for. Now, here is the pitfall. I am banging and saying 90% of answer sheet. Ma'am, here 30,000. No student gets, take it as a dialogue once again, I may be little harsh now. No student will ever get 0 in house property, but out of 100, 5 students will also not get full out of full mark. Repairs dekhte se, ma'am, you said no, for repairs 30,000 interest. Are in case of self occupied, in case of let out and deemed let out, full interest is allowed. तो देखो फिर आ जाओ वापस. How much interest is, are you getting awareness about the pitfalls and all? Right? Yeah. Yes. So how much interest will be allowed here? You all say 55,000 because it's treated as deemed letter. Now third, fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher, 380. That or standard rent, whichever is lower, 375. 6% of the municipal value and 355. 30% standard deduction. How much is interest on loan? 175. Borrowed on, is the loan taken after 1499? Yes. Nothing given means, can we assume that the full construction is completed in 5 years? Yes. So can we deduct full interest? Yes. What is income from house property? This, if they are treated as deemed let out property. If all the three are treated as self-occupied, what will be the income? Now, one more second blunder. एक तो मैंने आपको बताया interest. You know, in case of self-occupied also, students are writing fair rent, municipal value, whichever is higher, that or stand. Are self-occupied, the GAV is nil. What is the interest? Nil. Here, 55 ki jagah, how much interest will be allowed? 30,000. Why? In case of self-occupied property, you can't take more than 30,000 interest on repairs. Next, here, have you taken the loan? 217, yes. So how much interest will be allowed? 175. But 175 and 30,000 put together, how much it is? 2,05,000. In case of self-occupied, what is the upper limit? Only 2 lakh. Are you getting what I'm saying? It's a challenging and beautiful problem. Pause the video, take down the answer if you wish to. Chalo. Now, all the three you have worked DLOP. All the three you have worked as SOP. Now start with the option. Yeah. Take first house as self-occupied. Agar first house self-occupied hai, to nil. Second house भी self-occupied hai. So 30,000. And third one is let out. Are you getting the combination? 1, 2, 3. Now, see what I am doing. Option 2. अभी ऑप्शन 1 में क्या किया था? 1 and 2 self occupied. Now option 2, 1 and 3 self occupied. So 1 self occupied, nil. 3 self occupied, loss. 2 is let out. ये रहा. Now I'm going for this combination. Yes. And third one में second and third are self occupied. ये दो. And first one is let out. 219. Finally, what is the total income of option 1? 43,640. Option 2, 1840. Option 3, 14,800. Which option is having least income so that we pay or save on tax? Second. So Ruhi should go for option 2, wherein first and third is self-occupied, second is deemed letter. How is the problem? I want all of you to type super. Will you get super 7 marks in this kind of problem? Presentation is clear. Ma'am, if we do like this, will we get marks? Yes, you can check your CMA material. You can check your CA material. Good presentation. खास करके pitfalls पे ध्यान गया. Yeah, 1 second. I think one mistake is there. Very good. I'm reminded of that. 1 minute. There's a mistake in this answer. होता है. In this whole book, we have taken care there should not be any mistake, but फिर भी कभी-कभी हो जाता है. Can anyone say what's the mistake? Problem is good. Presentation is good, but there's a mistake. Can anyone say what's the mistake in the problem? कभी-कभी टीचर की भी गलती निकाल लेनी चाहिए. It's good. And there's no ego hurt from my side. I feel good when students take out some mistakes. Income tax is so vast. Years I've been teaching. कभी होती है गड़बड़. You'll feel good when you say, Dipti ma'am, you did this wrong. Say, no problem. अरे 100 ग्राम भी नहीं डांटेंगे आपको. बोलो. Hint. No hint. You say. Say where I've gone wrong. You put a like in the video and I will say. And promise me you will share it with at least 5 of your friends कि house property कभी नहीं पढ़ा होगा. पूरे pitfalls, पूरे concepts सब cover हो जाएगा. What's the mistake? Yes, we are going to pre-construction interest quickly. Bolo. In the third option, if you are taking house 2 as self-occupied, house 3 as also self-occupied, I have allowed 2,05,000 as interest, which is wrong. Maximum interest allowed is only 2 lakh. So income from house property will be 19,800. Are you getting? Even if you own 2 self-occupied property, you cannot claim more than 2 lakh rupees interest. So sweet. Anjana is saying, ma'am, इधर total लिखना भूल गए. ठीक है, लिख देंगे. You know, when I have typed in the class, my typist has typed from my answer. Like some students say me, ma'am, what a big deal in making the material. You keep someone and he'll take one problem from here, another from there, and you make a nice 500 pages book. But I know it is a foolproof method and every problem is checked and added and foolproof step by step. Yes, yes, correct, correct, correct. Some of you are saying correct now. Did you all get it? In the option 3, 2,19,000, it will not change my conclusion. Conclusion is still option 2. But for house property 2 and 3 put together, I can deduct only 2 lakh interest. 2 lakh is not the upper limit house wise, it's the SSE wise. So 19,800 will be the income. Okay. Thank you so much for participating and showing me where I could also go wrong. ठीक है? Chalo. So like this, you have to solve the combination problems. Now what I'm doing is, I'm going in a problem of co-ownership. This is there in the study material. Suppose Mr. Ramana is a co-owner. So compute the income in normal way, fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent 170, whichever is lower. That or actual rent 15,000 into 12. So GAV is 180. Municipal tax are not there. Standard deduction you have to take. No one will say take the standard deduction. You have to take it. Right? Interest on loan. Okay. What is interest on loan? Loan for construction of the house is jointly taken 25,000, out of which 21,000 have been paid. Okay. Interest is 25 but only 21 is paid. Then my dialogue, आपके कान में ना दीप्ति मैम की आवाज गूंजनी चाहिए. Municipal taxes are allowed on payment basis. Interest on loan is allowed on due basis. तो ये तो due basis पे 25,000 पूरा allowed होगा. To repay interest on unpaid interest is 450, not allowed. Interest on interest is not allowed. Interest on interest is not allowed. ये देखो working note में हमने लिखा है. To repay this loan, we have taken a fresh loan from brother and interest is 5,000. Second loan taken to repay the first loan, and now second loan has become housing loan interest. So it will be allowed, right? Now what is income from house property? 96,000. But who is the co-owner? Raman. Raman का share कितना है नहीं मालूम. Can we take 50%? Yes. Nice. That's the concept of co-ownership. Now the most important and repeatedly asked in exam question, that is 1 second, dear students. Okay, listen all of you now. If the property, ye dekho, this is the property. Whole property's fair rent and municipal value is given. But let out is only first floor. Ground floor houses, half is 25% is self-occupied, 25% is used for own business. I'm into coaching, so I'll use it for my coaching. 25% mein mera ghar hai, and first floor is let out. In that case, if they give you the fair rent and municipal value for the whole house, you have to break it into half. Followed or not? Ma'am, if they don't give 25% and 50%, if they give area, 5,000 square feet, out of that 1,800 is let out and all. Can you do like that? Yes. Income of each person shall be computed separately. You know, part which is used for own business, don't make the column for that. This is self-occupied, this is let out. You can't say this is deemed let out to your own self. No, don't make the column. Otherwise, it will not be a mistake. It will be a blunder. Income of each portion shall be computed separately. There's no need to treat the property as a single unit. Fair and municipal value, municipal taxes, interest, all will be splitted. And if the construction is over during the year, then it is considered only for remaining months like that. Okay. Okay. Now, municipal tax and all you will split, huh? Let us take up this question. Very easy and repeatedly asked questions I have picked up. X owns a residential house. It has two equal units. One is self-occupied. Another is let out for 6,000 per month. Okay? Right. Rent of 2 months could not be recovered. Okay? So 6,000 per month is what, dear students? What is 6,000 per month? Rent. But 2 months it was not occupied. So what it will be then? 2 months vacant. So actual rent will always be for 10 months, 60,000. It's a very nice question. Pay attention. Now, municipal tax is imposed 12% and it is paid by X. If municipal tax are paid by tenant, we will not deduct it. But right now, of course, we will deduct it. Municipal value of the property is 1,30,000 of the whole property. And standard rent is 125. And the fair rent. Sometimes, they give you fair rent municipal value for this part and this part separately. Then, to no problem. But right now they have given fair rent 140 and municipal value 130. So whichever is higher. So 140 or 130 or 140, whichever is higher, 140. And of that 50%. Why? Because only 50% is let out. Now, 140 or standard rent 125, whichever is lower. So 125, but 125 ka 50%. Now this or actual rent 6,000 per month into 10. Why 10? Because 2 months it's vacant. So we will take actual rent. Now here, ma'am, you had said like a tide. High, low, high. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. So ye. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. So ye. This or actual rent, whichever is higher. So, ma'am, GAV should have been 62,500. There's a printing mistake in the problem. Answer is no. GAV cannot be 62,500. Here, actual rent is low, 60,000, only because of vacancy. Pick up your calculator, 6,000 into 12. If there is no vacancy, what would have been the actual rent? 72,000. Take a pause. I'm repeating the concept for all of you because if your GAV goes wrong, your whole question will go wrong. Fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. That or standard rent, whichever is lower. That or actual rent, whichever is higher. But that or actual rent in the third step, if actual rent is low only because of vacancy. Agar vacancy nahi hota na, actual rent would have been high. Then even though actual rent is low, take it as GAV. Clear? Right. Thank you. God bless you all for so much of active participation. That motivates me ki, you've seen my earlier lectures, ek 2 saal ke pehle revision lectures dekho. House property lecture I have completed in 1 hour. There also I have given all the concept thoroughly, but I have not shown all these question answers and pitfalls. So even though actual rent is 60,000 and step 2 answer is 62,500, GAV 60,000 because it is low only due to vacancy. Vacancy or 2 months rent could not be recovered. Really sorry. Here it is unrealized rent. Jo bhi hai. Okay? Right. So unrealized rent is also reduced. So 60,000. Now municipal taxes. What is the municipal value for the whole house? One second, dear students. What's the municipal value for the whole house? कहीं तो दिया था ना आपको municipal value. Yeah, 1,30,000. 12% and 50%. Why? Because 50% only houses let out. So municipal taxes and interest and all will be deducted 50. 30% standard deduction. 15,660. Interest on loan. Loan was taken in 1998, huh? 63,000. So 63,000 ka 50%. 31,500. 1 second. 31,500 is deductible here. And students write here 31,500. ऐसे नहीं होता. Loan is taken before 1499. So, in case of self-occupied property, if the loan is taken before 1499 or if the loan is taken for repairs and all, interest on loan is allowed only 30,000 and not 31,500. Okay? So you got this. And there is income from other sources from which you can set off this loss. It's a very nice problem. I hope many things got clear. Clear or not? Yeah, I'm going very slow. You can write it with me and do it. Interest on loan is 63,500. For let out, to 50% will be allowed. But for self-occupied, 31,500 will be allowed only till 30,000 as the loan is taken prior to 1499. ठीक है? Yeah. Unrealized rent is always reduced from actual rent receivable. That's why we have reduced it. Done. So like this, all the problems are there, partition problems and half is self. See here, arrears of rent you have received. Don't merge arrears of rent in GAV. This is a common mistake in the answer sheet. Arrears of rent, you should write it, tax it separately with 30% standard deduction. Okay? Right. These are all partition problems now. Yeah. Can we get property income from other countries? Yes. Will they give the currencies also? Yes. Mrs. Radhe, a resident individual in USA, she has received $2,000 per month. Dollar rate is 45. Okay. Miss ho gaya hai, but per dollar 45. Per dollar rate is 45. So just 2,000 per month into 45 per dollar is the rate given, and for 12 months. So actual rent is coming to 10,80,000. And for the rent from USA, they didn't give fair rent and municipal value and all. So whatever is the actual rent, we'll take it as GAV. Municipal tax is also paid in dollars. $1,500 multiplied by 45. 67,500. NAV, 30% standard deduction, interest on loan is not there. Now, other than this, she also owns two-story house in Mumbai. Ground floor is used for her residence, self-occupied. And first floor is let out for 10,000. So 50% is let out. Are you getting? Income received from foreign country? Yeah. Standard rent for each floor is, see, so beautiful. Ma'am, just now in one problem, you took fair rent ka 50%, standard rent ka 50%, municipal. Here I'll not do that. Why? Because they have given me the fair rent and standard rent and all for each floor. And one of the floor is only let out for 10,000. So standard rent is 11,000. Fair rent is 10,000. So fair rent or municipal value, whichever is higher. So 10,000 into 12, 120. That or standard rent, 11,000. Yeah. Fair rent is 10,000 into 12. Or standard rent. What is standard rent? 1,32,000. How did you get 1,32,000? 11,000. Whichever is lower. So 120. That or actual rent. What is the actual rent? 10,000 into 12. Same. So GAV will be 1,20,000. Okay. Municipal tax for the whole house is 7,500. Self-occupied, it's not allowed. Here it will be allowed 50%. NAV, less municipal taxes. Now, India May, she has repaid the loan of 54,000. Principal is not important. Interest is 24,000. So 12 I will deduct here, 12. In case of self-occupied, only interest on loan is allowed. That's why it's always going to show a loss. How much maximum? 2 lakh. And if the loan is taken for repairs and all, तो ma'am आप कितनी बार repeat कर रहे हो 2 घंटे में? Because I know the points which are to be emphasized so that you don't do mistake and you score superb marks here. Last concept before we closes. From the GAV, municipal tax is allowed, standard deduction is allowed, and interest on loan is allowed. But along with this, something more is allowed, and that is called as pre-construction interest. Now, the concept of pre-construction interest is the year I start getting rental income, whatever housing loan interest I am paying, I can deduct fully against my rental income. But I took housing loan 4 years back when I was constructing the building, and last 4 years construction was going on. Still, I was paying interest. Where can I deduct this interest? Nowhere. Because last 4 years, interest I was paying, but property was not ready. When I started getting rental income, whatever interest I am paying, I am deducting as per the flowchart I took. But what about this pre-construction interest? Can I deduct that also? Yes. How many years? 5 years. 1/5 every year. Ma'am, for self-occupied, you said 2 lakh is the limit. फिर pre-construction अलग से मिलता क्या? No. For self-occupied, current year's interest and pre-construction interest all put together, it is 2 lakh. Okay. Don't leave all this is very beautiful knowledge only for pre-construction interest. You can get 2 marks, 3 marks MCQ, and when you get 58, 59 ना बहुत बुरा लगता है. तो कुछ भी छोड़ के नहीं जाना है. It's very easy. I have made it very easy and I've solved all the problems with this step. Okay. Right. Pre-construction period starts from the date loan is taken. Okay. Pre-construction period starts from the day you have taken the loan. Maybe 1st April 2022 or the date of start of construction, whichever is later. Loan is taken on 1/4/22, but the construction started on 1st July 2022. So whichever is later, pre-construction period will start. Ends on repayment of loan. Either you have repaid the loan, and if that is earlier, take that, or 31st March prior to the completion of the construction. Say construction is over on 30 June 2024. So 31st March 2024. Pre-construction interest will start from the day you take the loan or construction, whichever is later, and it ends on 31st March prior to the completion of the construction. This is pre-construction period. अब एग्जाम में ना आप सिर्फ ये steps follow करना, you will be super clear. Pre-construction interest starts from the date of borrowing the loan or the construction, whichever is later. Pre-construction period ends on either repayment of loan, पहले ही loan repay कर दिया, but so many times after building is ready, after starting getting rental income also, loan is not repaid. So 31st March prior to the completion of construction. A and B is your pre-construction period. Can you take the amount of loan and calculate total interest for the pre-construction period? Yes. And this is allowed 1/5 every year for continuous 5 years. Ma'am, if current year's interest is not paid, can we deduct both? Yes. Pre-construction interest ka 1/5 and current year's interest, both you can deduct. Just put all your doubts you have in the chat box. I can take one exclusive class, Magic of Logic. I take some concepts. You watch the magic of logic of interest or known. In 15 minutes, I have explained. And if you feel pre-construction, you want one additional class, message me. Shall we take one example to make it very clear? In my regular batch, I make them solve 10 examples in a single class. Lifelong, they will never forget pre-construction interest. फिर से देखो, loan is taken on 1499. हाँ, and construction भी 1499 से ही शुरू होगा क्योंकि कुछ दिया नहीं है. तो date of start. Construction completed in July 20. So what is the 31st March prior to that? Yeah, 31st March 20. Now, what is my pre-construction period? April 19. See, here it is coming 12 months. Sometimes it can be 33 months, 48 months, 22 months like that. So, pre-construction period starts from the day you take the loan and till the day you complete the construction prior to that 31st March. So, 12 months. What is 12 months interest? 10,000. Pre-construction. What is step 1? Pre-construction period starts. What is step 2? Pre-construction period ends. What is step 3? Total pre-construction period 1 to 2. 4. Pre-construction interest. 5. Divide the pre-construction interest by 1/5. 2,000. Now what is here? They have not repaid the loan. So current year's interest 1 lakh into 10% वो भी होगा, and pre-construction interest is deductible for 5 installments, so 2,000. So what will be the total interest allowed this year in 23-24? 12,000. ये 2,000 from which to which year it is allowed, dear students? Pre-construction interest. Take your time and tell me. From the year when construction is over. So construction is over in 20. So 20, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25. These are the 5 years in which 5 consecutive years or continuous years pre-construction interest is allowed. 1/5 every year. ठीक है? Right. Can it happen that pre-construction interest is there but current interest will not be there? Yeah. If you have repaid the loan in 23-24, pre-construction interest will come but current year's interest will not come. Right. So this is deductible 1/5. Ma'am, for self-occupied, you say the upper limit 2 lakh. Is it for pre-construction interest or is it for current year's interest? Put together. Limit is 2 lakh. Okay. Lot of questions I have given. Shall we practice one more last question? I know we are late. 2 hours and 15 minutes are over. Whereas I decide to complete the class in 2 hours. Ten minutes more. I want all of you to stay with me. Are you ready? चलो एक और प्रॉब्लम करते हैं एंड देन मैसेज मी. जिस दिन एग्जाम खत्म होगी ना, डोंट मैसेज मी. I want you to focus on the next exam and leave the question paper at the exam center. When you come out of exam center, headstrong confidence, say tomorrow is my costing exam. This is the way I'm going to prepare. टक टक टक. किसी से डिस्कस नहीं करना है, ना कोई टीचर से, ना कोई. But after the exams, come and tell me, ma'am, we have watched your revision videos. We have practiced house property from the Sarathi practice batch. Playlist is there in YouTube. And same problem came in exam. Yours I have been teaching. Thank you for 10 minutes being more energetic. Thoda sa nashta roz zyada karke aana. Arvind commenced the construction exclusively on 1/11/22. So what is the date of loan? 1/11. Date of construction? 1/11. He raised 5,16% interest. Finding that there was an overrun, he also raised 8 lakh more interest. So one more loan he has taken, 8 lakh at 16% on 1st October 23. What is the interest if construction is over on March 24? Now, if it is over in June, we take 31st March prior. So here we'll take 31st March 24 only. Okay. So pre-construction period, step 1 starts. Step 2 ends. Step 3, 1/11/22 to 31st March 24, 17 months. What's the interest? 5 lakh pay, 16% into 17 divide by 12. When you divide by 12, you get per month interest multiplied by 17. What is annual pre-construction interest? Divide by 5. And what is current year's interest? One second, dear students. Current year's interest may you will get both. 5 lakh into 16%. I don't know why 2 lakh is taken. 2 lakh is not there. 5 lakh into 16% and 8 lakh. More you have borrowed. Okay. 8 lakh directly will take it as current year's interest. Okay. Right. So both the interest will come. But pre-construction interest is clear or not? Like this, lot of problems are there. Here also he has taken 2 lakh loan at 12%. Pre-construction interest started from which date? Current year's interest is also outstanding. Huh? Construction started on 1st October 2020 and it completed in January 23. So we will end it on March 22, March prior to completion. So October 22 to March 20, October 20 to March 22, 18 months. That's your step 3. 18 months ka interest, 36,000. Annual is divided by 5. And current year का तो interest है ही outstanding 2 lakh into 12. Okay. Here there was little mistake. I'll correct and send the picture in the group. But I hope this is all clear. So like this, you have to take the pre-construction interest. This is a very nice problem. A and B, it is there in your study material also. No time left now to take it. But same steps you have to follow and compute the interest. If they have taken 2 loan, then compute the interest for 2 houses. Same. Pre-construction interest starts pre-construction. Now come back as I close back. One more theory question I had left here. I said I will do it little later. I think initially I went little more slow. थोड़ा सा fast जा सकते थे. Combination problem, which house to take as self-occupied, and partition problem. 25% self-occupied, 50. These are the popular ones asked. You can score marks like anything. House property में कोई creativity नहीं है. चलो आ जाओ before all the questions. There's some theory I want to explain. See, sometimes you have let out the property, but it is vacant. This is a very common example कि someone has constructed new apartment and it is ready to be sold, but abhi tak it is not sold. Huh? It is not actually let out. And no other benefit is derived. You are not getting the rental income. Your flats are ready to sell, but they are not sold. And you are not getting any rental income. Then how many houses you can take as self-occupied? 2. For how many years? 2 years. See, as the specified head of the charge, annual value of the property cannot be brought to tax under any other head. If the property is held as stock in trade, you know what is stock in trade? Flat kharidna, bechna is my business. But this flat, I have put the board for sale, for sale. Biki nahi raha hai. It's not selling. However, annual value of the stock in trade will be treated as nil for a period of 2 years from the end of the year in which you got the certificate of completion. When the flats are ready to occupy, you get certificate of completion. तो जब तक certificate of completion मिल गया है, from that year, 2 years ready to sell, ready to sell. Ma'am, you taught us the concept of deemed let out. Oh, this is not deemed let out. This is flat ready for sale and it's not sold. You can't take it as DLOP for 2 years. After that, it will be treated for a period of 2 years. Dekho example. Mr. Beans is involved in real estate business. He got certificate of the completion in December 21. Now December 21 मतलब March 22, फिर March 23 and March 24. 2 years the property will be vacant. From 1st April 24, it will be treated as deemed let out. Are you getting what I'm saying? Huh? This is not deemed let out. This is my flats are ready for sale, ready for sale. I got the occupancy certificate now in October or in December. So next March ke baad till 2 years ready for sale and not sold, no problem. From third year, it will be treated as deemed let out if it is not sold. Okay. And now theory question that property income is exempt if it is an agricultural land and you have given it out on rent. Annual value of one of the palace of the ex-ruler. We have private palaces like Chomhella Palace, and even in so many palaces in Udaipur, Jaipur are privately owned, and they are given it to Taj Group of Hotel, and they do functions, weddings over there. So one of the palace of the ex-ruler is exempt. Rental income of property, local authority, scientific research, school, college, trade union, temples, political party, all this is exempt. Okay, right. And what's the concept of deemed owner? That's very simple. You can read it. You know, when you occupy a flat in an apartment where there are 8 flats, you have 1/8 share in the land also. है ना? On the land, 8 flats are there. You're the owner of the one flat. You're the deemed owner of 1/8 part of the land also. Undivided land share, it is called. Okay, right? Pre-construction interest, is it clear to you with all examples? I've taken my best care to check each and every problem to give best of the problem. But somewhere there is some error in the problem. We'll check it, correct it, and share the solution with all of you in tomorrow's class. Tomorrow we are doing the pumping heart of income tax. कौन सा topic है बोलो? 14 marks के लिए business head. I don't know it will be over in 2 hours or not. If not, we will take it for 2 days. I don't have a cutoff कि ये date तक revision खत्म हो जाना है. I have some schedule of classes starting from 15th of Feb for DTIDT, but those are offline classes. I will schedule these classes in evening, but ऐसे भाग भाग के नहीं पढ़ाना है. So any of your suggestions are welcome. Did you follow the core concept what I taught in the first 1 hour? Then I've shared the problems. And if you feel you want to do writing practice, then definitely you can watch the Sarathi videos. Practice batch of Sarathi DT playlist is there in August September 2023 last year. Playlist में मिल जाएगा. Okay. Unrealized rent is the rent which is due but not received. It's not vacancy. It's not कि February and March you vacated the property. You occupied. You didn't pay the rent of February and March. So unrealized rent is reduced from actual rent receivable of 12 months. 10,000 into 12, it is reduced and we will take 10,000 into 10, 1 lakh. After 2 years, 2 months rent, 10,000 into 20,000, whenever I realize, separately it will be taxed and 30% standard deduction. You said it's not clear. I have made it clear. और कोई भी डाउट है तो stay connected in the Telegram group. Click the picture, send your doubt with the topic, and I am teaching house property. If you have doubt in TDS, TCS, if you are practicing something, income tax, GST, costing, you can check my costing revision videos also in the playlist. And it's a challenge. Tell me, each and every concept will be clear or not from there. So I'm doing my best, I know. And some of you are asking for notes. So for the Sarathi practice batch notes today evening, I'll again put it. Along with this, if you want to practice those problems which I have solved, I think more than 160 problems we have solved in those 25 days. So those problems, I'll be posting today evening in the Telegram. You can take a print and start the practice. But when you practice from the Sarathi practice batch, 99% it's all correct. 10% small change like RFA का rate ही change हो गया है. to take care of the amendment, but otherwise you can trust it and practice. And for the material which I am using now, this is a whole compiler. Booster notes are there, questions are there, आंसर्स आर देयर सॉल्व. अभी तो कैपिटल गेन में तो एक एक कॉन्सेप्ट के एग्जांपल आई हैव गिवन. हाँ, so don't ask me for free PDF for this. I don't know why that habit has come. Everything we want free, everything. I'm sorry to say this. Lot of efforts are being made by me and my team. And honestly, when you will get something very much for free, wo PDF will lie in your dicky from Xerox wala, then in your almirah. When you pay for things, no, you try to take out the worth of it. I don't know whether you like this statement, then say yes ma'am, right. So for that you have to download concept classes app and book your copy over there, and within 3 working days you will get the copy, and then you can study from that. Okay, if mistakes are there, hoga bahut. I think November 15th to this January 15th I was working for this compiler. Okay, this problem I want to put. All RTP problems we cannot put. Some are very weird and lengthy and not required. So 320 pages of material with more than 400 examples, question answers all solved. So if you want, you can order the book. No shipping charges, some basic material charges there, right? Thank you so much, all of you, for staying connected till the end. So many of you are there. God bless you, all of you. My blessings and wishes. I'm taking lot of efforts, ये क्लास लेने में दम लगता है. मैं अपनी बड़ाई नहीं मार रही, but I think we started at 11:15 and it's like 1:45. So it takes lot of effort and lot of compiling one day before which example I should discuss so that you get best. Because in business head there are 45 problems. I'm not going to solve 45 problems, right? Okay. So lot of efforts are being taken in making these revision videos, and you are trusting me. Thank you so much. Share it with all your friends. Subscribe to the channel for all the conceptual learning. Thank you so much, all of you. Bye-bye. See you all tomorrow at 11. We are starting with business ed. Might go on for 2 classes. No problem. Okay? Bye-bye, all of you.